Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're going to be talking about what PalWorld did for the entire industry. And so we're not covering just PalWorld, we're not covering just Nintendo or Pokemon or whatever. We're also taking a look at other games as well. And the thing that I want to focus on and highlight today is that PalWorld found where the line was, like legally, on what they could get away with and being inspired from other IPs. Because we know Nintendo has protected those IPs for a long time, whether it's Pokemon or Legend of Zelda or Mario or anybody else. But PalWorld found the chink in the armor and they were willing to take the risk. So we know that Pocket Pair made PalWorld, which is basically Pokemon with guns. It was extremely successful. Let's take a look at this. It was extremely successful. I mean, we're talking tens of millions of copies sold, and also, as of February of this year, 32 million players, which is insane. This is also now also on PlayStation. So yeah, extremely successful, and we didn't have a lawsuit right away from Nintendo. And what I was telling people back then is like, I don't think Nintendo can directly sue for copyright because again, it's not a copy of any of the Pokemon. It's a very similar, yes, very similar, but it's not copies. And so we finally had a lawsuit roughly within like 9 months to a year where Nintendo was like, hey, we're going to sue you for patent infringement. And these are the three patents. And it's not for very much money. I mean, it's 66K, right? It's not very much. Per infringement. So the first one is about aiming and firing some sort of item toward a character in the field, like a Pokeball, right? The second is something about being able to capture creatures in the wild, and the third is about riding creatures in the open world and transitioning between those creatures. So that's what the whole lawsuit is now going over, and this is going to be drug out for quite some time. And I'm pretty sure that Nintendo, just like most other companies, when they can't win directly, they want to be able to drag out to just spend that money. But doing the math of what PalWorld has probably made, we're looking at like roughly $400 million when you take copies sold and versus also the player time on like Xbox and PC Game Pass. Because again, every month, PalWorld and Pocket Pair, they get paid for every hour that's played roughly from players. And when there's new updates, they're going to keep getting new players or some players to come back, or when they're releasing on other platforms, they're going to continue to get more sales. And this is just kind of insane. So we even have more now. It's going to be coming to the Apple Store. We know, too, that there's a mobile version with Crafton that's going to be built. That's in the works right now. And then it's also going to be able to be played on Steam. And now it's also out on PlayStation. So, I mean, for Pete's sakes, like, it's available everywhere, and Mac is going to be pretty soon. And it's even on last-gen hardware. Now, so far, it's not on Nintendo Switch. There's nothing been announced for that. But the thing, too, that I want to highlight is just how many versions they've had. So they've had pretty regular updates, fixing stuff, adding some stuff. And they're on version 0.6 right now, and release is 1.0. That's kind of what we're waiting for. But there's also some others well. This one I didn't look up, but there's also Animo. That's coming out in 2026. And again, that looks pretty similar. But again, it's not just some of these games that are trying to, like, quote, be heavily inspired by Pokemon. There's also Warside, which looks heavily inspired from Advanced Wars. If you played Advanced Wars, but you don't have any new content, like Nintendo hasn't really been doing anything with that IP except for remastering 1 and 2 as a collection for the original Switch 1. But now we have Warside, and I shared this a little bit, and it is very similar. And this also is even on Nintendo Switch. So this is pretty much anywhere you would want to play it. But I mean, the units, the different types that we have, the different commanders and their battle powers, I mean, come on, guys. Like, this is really, really similar, even in look and play and everything. There's a story campaign, which is actually fairly large with what I've been playing so far. There's multiplayer battles. There's even a map creator for your multiplayer battles, which is awesome. And so, yeah, this is very much heavily inspired, right? There's, and yeah, this is expected to come to release on console in Q2 of 2025, which we already know that's passed, so it has been delayed, but they're shooting now for the end of this year, if you want to go join their Discord and keep up with them there. The thing, too, that's also crazy is we have Sonic Racing. And again, this looks really, really similar and heavily inspired from something we already have at Nintendo, which is Mario Kart. And I mean, you get your vehicle and there's different stats. And now this doesn't look like it's going to be any type of an open world, but you're going to be still racing on tracks. You're going to be having those normal races, which players are going to want. And it's going to look and feel very much like Mario Kart with what people are looking for. And again, this is heavily inspired from that. But again, nothing is copied. So it's like Nintendo has a real problem here. And we got several more examples. And this is not just necessarily a Nintendo problem. This is a problem for kind of everybody because unless it's an exact copy, you legally can't say it's copy infringement. And we're even going to go over Sony and Tencent's thing here in a little bit. But yeah, I just thought this was really interesting because it's like, okay, if people don't want to pay $80 for Mario Kart World, they don't have to with an update that supposedly fixed the whole intermediate track thing, which players are saying it didn't. Well, you have something else to go to later this year. There's also Lego Party, which looks pretty freaking good. I mean, everything is made out of Lego bricks. It's going to be for current and past gen consoles and even Steam and even the Nintendo Switch 1. There's going to be 60 different games, mini games on here. And let's take a look real quick at what this looks like. And I mean, when we take a look at it, it's like, oh yeah, there's the map. Like, and here's the mini games and stuff. And it's just like, oh my world. Like, what did PalWorld do? It really showed where the line was. And there isn't a single IP now, whether it's Nintendo or somebody else, that is not safe. And so the whole exclusivity thing, it is going to completely die. We're going to have some diehards, but ultimately, as new generations come in, they're not going to care. They're just going to go for accessibility and price, and no one's going to pay $80 for Mario Kart World, except for very few people, right? Or a lot of these other games. And what we know, too, is like a lot of these games on Nintendo, they're all $70 at a minimum now. None of them are $60 anymore. And then some of them are even going to be $80. Now, Xbox also tried that, but there was enough backlash, probably from lack of pre-order sales, that they're like, well, we're not going to really deal with that right now. We're going to go back from Outer Worlds 2 going back down to 70, which is great. I still think that's too much, in my opinion, for a video game, but hey, that's how they're doing it. They need to be more efficient running their studios, not just Xbox, but everybody. And that price tag of 70 is not just for Outer Worlds 2, it's also for Black Ops 7 and everything else for holiday of 2025. Maybe in 26 they'll try again. There's also Fortnite, and so let's take a look at this. And again, the cross collaboration, like this looks a lot like Helldivers, if we're honest, just like the rocks and the bugs, and they can fly and stuff, and it's just utter chaos on the field. And the breakdown, it's like, and there can't be a lawsuit really over this because PalWorld has still continued to exist, and everybody is paying attention to that. Everybody is paying attention. So we'll have to see what really happens with the lawsuit between Nintendo and PalWorld. But we also have like, oh, hey, that looks a heck of a lot like Halo, and whether that's actually licensed IP. It kind of does, actually. It looks like licensed IP, but I'm not entirely sure. But again, the idea is that, cross collaboration is going to be the new thing that companies are going to, be able to tap into, that people are going to be excited about, and we have Power Rangers in there, and they've always focused, of course, on adding as many things as they can, but, even if they don't get the official collaboration, they can make look something similar, and it's going to be exciting for players, and they're going to come back and they're going to enjoy it, right? And so I'm excited for this type of future, really, because we're getting to a point now where it's no longer exclusive. There's stuff no longer really protected. It's like, okay, PalWorld showed where the line was, and now we can just go with everything. And if companies, know that they can't really protect their copyright anymore like they thought they could, then they're just going to focus on like, well, okay, let's license it out then and get paid for it some and just put it everywhere. And that's what we're starting to see. So yeah, this is very, very interesting. And then also even Tencent and Sony's thing going on here. Sony is suing Tencent for copyright of Horizon. And as you can see, this is Horizon here, and this is Light of Motirum. Very, very similar art designs and kind of worlds and everything. But again, is it a direct copy? Probably not. It's probably not a direct copy. Now, this game plays a lot more, in my opinion, kind of like PalWorld. I didn't pull up a trailer, and this plays much more as like a third-person over-the-camera story, right? So the gameplays are very different, but again, it's like Sony's going to try to sue for this, and I personally don't think they're going to win. The only thing that I think Sony has an ace in the hole for is to say in court, look, Tencent wanted to make a game. They came to us saying, hey, can we make a Horizon game? Sony said no, and then Tencent was probably in development already or just decided to continue with it or started either way, and now we have Horizon versus Light of Motirum. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, this line of what's legal, what's illegal, what's copyright infringement, we know where that line is now. And now we have all of these games that look like somebody else that are heavily inspired, and it's like, man, you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. And the law is siding with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, what do you guys think? Because I ultimately think this is great. I mean, it really is going to kill exclusivity, and now everything is going to, companies are going to have to innovate. They're actually going to have to pay attention more to players, and this is going to be more competition than ever in the gaming space, regardless of console or PC or what company. This is nuts. And Xbox already is just completely embracing all of this and just being like, well, whatever, let's just go for it. And so they are. And, they're putting their games everywhere. They're collaborating with a lot of different areas. We even see this with Helldivers 2. Looks like we're going to be getting ODST Helldiver, basically, on the release of August 26th on Xbox. And so I'm excited to check that out. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, this whole trying to protect your IP thing, if it's heavily inspired, there's nothing you can do about it. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always follow me at GamingGarbage22 over at YouTube. And don't forget our playlists. And there's various content coming out every week. And if something's not for you, that's okay. Just wait for the next video. I'm not going to be offended. Also, too, there's also Twitch as well. And when I'm playing video games, I will be sure to chat with y'all in the chat. And, yeah, even with Battlefield and stuff, man, that's going to be coming later this year. That game's going to be fun. We also have Chronos: The New Dawn. You guys voted for that in January. Thank you guys for voting. The next voting for next year's full review that I'm going to do is, again, going to be January in 2026, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, we're going to stream all of Chronos: The New Dawn. I'm going to have an initial look after I get a good feel for the game, and then also a final review of the game at the end. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to finish, but hey, yeah, we'll have to see. I do work a normal job. Sometimes my overtime is all the way up to 72 hours a week, so you can imagine I don't do much during those weeks. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be a fun time going through Chronos: The New Dawn. So, but yeah, what do you guys think of all this? Because I think this completely changes the landscape. Xbox changed the landscape for where games can go and exclusivity on that end. And then PalWorld on the other end has been like, well, we're heavily inspired, but we didn't copy anything. And so that's attacking exclusivity from the other end. And I think eventually exclusivity just completely disappears. It might take another decade. It might take another 2 decades, but I think it eventually gets there. And there's a lot of stuff that's moving fast. So with that, folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one.